this statement is, there is a place for everybody in college.
I'd have to disagree.
I'm gonna have to say somewhat disagree.
I'm gonna have to say slightly disagree.
I was going to say that I actually somewhat agree. Welcome back to another installment of the High School Perspective. Thanks to Ryan for the intro and outro music in this video. Today's topic of discussion is agree and disagree statements. Basically what this means is that I'm going to be reading a list of statements, and you guys are either going to be strongly agreeing, slightly agreeing, neutral, slightly disagreeing, or strongly disagreeing. And so all of these have a centered topic. For this one specifically, they're all going to be kind of school related. So this is kind of the first time I've ever done something like this. They're not necessarily questions, they're more just statements, and then we say how we feel about them. So with that being said, I have a few written down. But before we do that, let's just go ahead and reintroduce everybody. We have the original cast back, Andrew, Paul, Miggy, and myself. Thank you guys again for being here. It's always a pleasure to have you guys on. And so let's get started. So the first one is, this is something that I guess some people might think is true. I don't necessarily, know how it is for you guys or for really any of my other friends, but I certainly feel very one-sided about this, and it's that good grades equal high intelligence.
Strongly disagree. I feel like intelligence and academics are two completely different things. With academics, the whole point of it is just being able to take something in and regurgitate it. There's not a lot of skill in it. It's just memory. You just give out what you're taking in, basically. That's the whole point of tests, to see what you remember, right? I feel like with intelligence, you actually have to do your own thinking about I can't think of a really good example, but I feel like with intelligence, you almost have to think for yourself and not with the logic that other people have provided you. You could be super smart in school, but I don't know, still feel racism isn't wrong. I don't know. There might be people like that in the world. Or just people who lack common sense. You could be really good in school, but lack common sense. I don't know. I just feel like they're two really different things.
Yeah. For the most part, I'm agreeing with pretty much everything that you're saying. I'm going to say disagree, though. Not strongly disagree, but just disagree. Because I think, there are obviously intelligent people that don't get the best grades. I'll be the first to admit that, I don't get the best grades at all. But I wouldn't say I'm, highly intelligent. But when it does come to intelligence in general, I think, again, getting good grades and the whole intelligence thing are two different things. But also getting good grades, shows, I think, your work ethic and how much, it's kind of showing that all your hard work has paid off. So in a way, it's being smart and how you choose to I guess manage your time and manage how you go about doing your work. But yeah, a lot of what Andrew said is same for me as well.
I would say that there are a lot of different types of intelligence, so you can't really just like academics and intelligence. There's two different things, and someone can be really intelligent in the terms of nothing that relates to school at all. Like in business, we don't really teach that at school, so they could be intelligent in business, but they weren't the best at school. It's a common misconception. They think when you think of intelligence, they think of book smart, but you can be intelligent in other ways, in different forms too. You can be intelligent in fixing stuff, or intelligence with working with someone. It's not just books and academics and stuff like that. So I say disagree. So.
Yeah, like all of you guys said, like intelligence and like school in general and like getting good grades. Like there's a difference between that and like maybe you said there's like different types of intelligence. You can have like someone that's like street smart or like, you know, different type of smart and intelligent and like they're not very bright at school, but that doesn't mean like they're dumb and stuff, right? With smart, like at school or getting good grades is more like work ethic, like Will said, and just how you manage your time and like how you remember stuff. If you're good at memorizing content, then that's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I disagree.
Yeah, really good answers. Okay, so then the next one is a bit different. It doesn't really have to do with intelligence or grades in general, not necessarily good grades. But this next one has to do with, I guess, what's on your course selection for students. These classes are very optional, and there's a wide range of all of these. But a lot of people don't think that it's important to take one or another because they know that they're not going to be going into that field specifically. So this one is, it is important for all students to take a VAPA or CTE class.
What is VAPA again? Or like
Right, yeah, so VAPA, that's like kind of the arts and it has to do with like, a vocational, I guess. So anything from like choir to band to like a smaller art, probably like beginning studio art. Those are like the VAPA classes. And then CTEs range anywhere from like graphic design, photography. I think auto is a CTE class, all those classes.
Well, I would say agree because I think it's important because you never know until you try it. Like you never know, you might do that thing, that either VAPA or CTE class in the future. Like you might fall in love with it. Like that's just like in my situation with choir. I only did it because I needed the year, but I ended up falling in love with choir. So now it's kind of like something I like doing. It's kind of like basically trying new things to like find your interests. That's what I think. So I just agree with the statement you said.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I'm going to say I strongly agree with this statement. For me personally, I had always found interest in more of like the arts in terms of like learning them in school, but I never really saw it as like a possible career until high school. Seeing classes on the course sheet, like graphic design, like photography, and all the different kinds of arts that they offered, it was very eye-opening, I guess, in a way. And for a lot of kids, obviously art is not for everybody, or something in the field of art is not for everybody. But I think it's very important that they get some kind of idea of what each class has to offer and what students might learn after high school in those sort of subjects. So I think it's very important, and I strongly agree.
I feel like when it comes to those, I think Will said VAPA and CTEs. I feel like I would disagree. Like, I do get that, like, the experience is definitely like good. Like, the more things you try, like, the more you'll like figure out what your taste is. But I feel like it's not really necessary. Like, there's a lot of things that like, people can, get into for a career. Like, it's limited to like, I don't even know how many classes, but like, there's a limited amount, which I mean, like, it's good to take them, but like, I don't know. I just don't feel like it's necessary. Like, there's not, like, I don't think a person should be like required to like learn about a career if they don't want to. Like, there's something else they could probably be like dedicating their time to that might be like more helpful, like for their future. But yeah, and also like, I understand like you guys have had like a really good experience with like choir and with Will graphic design. Yeah. And I just have to take my CTE, but yeah, I mean, I really liked like the visual arts that I took was AP art history, and I learned a lot. It was a really fun class, easiest AP like anyone in Castro Valley will ever take. But yeah, I mean, I learned a lot about it, and the teacher also made it really interesting. But I don't know, I didn't feel like it was really necessary. Like, especially with arts, like I don't know, I'm not really a arts kind of guy, but you know, it's a different experience for other people. Yeah, I just don't feel like it's a need. I disagree.
Um, I think I'm actually going neutral on this because, like,
You said
personally, yeah, because personally, I wouldn't want to be like forced into like learning something I don't want to do. Like personally, like art is not really for me, but then again, it's enjoyable. It's like pastime and stuff, and like it opens up your creativity. So I mean, that's what I like about it. For like example, I took choir and I really enjoyed that, but again, I didn't really see it like as something I really wanted to do, even though I really loved it and like the people are really awesome. On the other hand, I took what's it called, yearbook, and that I really enjoyed that too because I mean it's more of like a team activity, so you have to work with other people. So I think that it exposes you more to like a like what's it called, team building and stuff, whatever it is. But I don't think I would want that to be like required because that's not what I would want to focus on, even though it like exposes me to like more, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, so those are all about the VAPAs and CTEs, or AKA, I guess, the extracurriculars, as other people might refer to it. So yeah, I think, generally people have their ideas of extracurriculars. But we're going to talk more, I guess, about what students think what students think in general about like current events. Do you guys think that students should be invested in current events?
Well, I strongly agree because they need to be involved in current events because it's literally our time. As young people, it is literally our time. So it actually directly affects us more than anyone else about like the current events that's going on because it's our future that's like, or the thing that's affecting the present is going to affect our future. So I strongly agree that young people or students should be involved or at least educated on the current events that are going on. So
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul.
No, you're good. Go.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Miggy. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's good to be naive to like what's happening around us. Like, it's called current event for a reason. Like, it's what's happening like right now. Like, especially with like, I mean, when we're at home, social media is all we like really have to look at, and like when we go on there or on like Instagram or something, like you just see like everyone like it's actually like really cool to see a lot of the youth like get involved with like some of the events that are happening in the country. Like I feel like it's good that we try to educate ourselves, but I feel like to really do something like you have to take an extra step, like past educating other people, like using your platforms like they say. Like I feel like, I mean, obviously we can't do that much because like we're stuck at home. Like most of us are stuck at home in quarantine. But I feel like, yeah, with like, signing petitions or like participating in like rallies or protests or, a lot of stuff that's happening in the Black Lives Matter movement. Like, a lot of the youth does a good job, like taking a stand against like things that are happening around the world that isn't right. But yeah, I just feel like we could all really be doing more, like more than just posting on our story about like I don't even know, like, or just like arguing with like racist people online. Like it doesn't really do much, like just to argue online in general. Like you don't really accomplish anything. But yeah, I think it's good that we're educating ourselves and like pushing other people to be educated, having like those kind of uncomfortable conversations with those kind of things. So yeah, I strongly agree with that statement.
Um, Yeah, I strongly agree with that too, because it's something like current events. It helps you like it helps you like stay like open minded and not like, because a lot of people are like, some people have like closed minded ideas and like opinions, and just staying on top of that just helps you like get new ideas of how to like help your community and stuff, and like educate others and not be like receive fake news, because like Andrew said, like most times you're on the social media and like a lot of news can be fake news. So I think that's like really important when it comes to that. um I don't know, and then you can learn about other stuff around the world, so that's very important too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to strongly agree as well. I think with every new generation, I think like for us, that's we're the young guys. I think we have such a huge responsibility, like to take everything that's being thrown at us. We're literally living in a time of history right now, like literally like modern history. We're watching it happen, whether it be the Black Lives Matter movement or anything that has to do with like racial injustice around the world. But specifically here in the U.S. and Corona is happening, and it's been happening for 4 months now. There's just so much stuff that I think we have to be educated on, and be cautious about talking about, but also be very open-minded and sensible when it comes to hearing what other people have to say, and taking everybody's opinions and really just kind of respecting them, but also having your own opinion and standing up for yourself. So I think current events are, they're always going to be happening because, hence the name. But the larger ones are going to be the ones that we learn from, and they're going to be the ones that we pass down to the other generations. So I would just say to all the young people out there, just be mindful, continue to spread awareness for whatever might be going on someday, especially now. But have an open mind at the same time. So this next statement is very different from everything that I think we've talked about so far. It has to do with students learning in school, and a lot of times this is something that overwhelms students, and that they have a very difficult time with, whether it be a personal reason or maybe it's just an academic reason overall. So this statement is: homework loads are fair.
It depends on what class, honestly. That every teacher has different ways of doing stuff, and like assignment wise. So I think that all depends on like the teacher and the curriculum. So I'll stay neutral on this because I don't know. It all depends on the teacher and the curriculum.
Student too. Like some students are just able to handle a lot more than
Yeah.
other students. Like work ethic is something that some students are able to develop like at a really young age. Like, and then there's me. I just try to get by. I mean, I feel like I still do pretty good in school, but for the most part, I just try to get by, like without like having my parents like tell me that I need to start doing better in school. But yeah, I feel like homework in general is just a very broad, like there's a lot of different teachers have a lot of different ways of assigning it. Like I've had teachers that like barely assign homework, and then there's ones that assign every night. But yeah, I think I'll have to stay neutral on it as well.
Yeah, I might have to say neutral too, because like a lot of students take different classes, so like it's kind of hard to like tell if the homework balance is fair. Because like for me, I'm literally trying to get by, like what Andrew said, and like I'd say my homework is pretty fair most of the time, but like there are some times where I just feel like overwhelmed by a lot of homework, but like that's just like part of high school, so like that's fine. At least it's not like every single day we're getting bombarded with like homework in every single class. Like I think it's pretty fair at the moment, so I'm gonna stay neutral on this one.
In a lot of ways, I would say, I would say neutral for this statement because I know that students go through a lot of personal stuff in their life. But I'm going to say somewhat agree. I've had teachers in the past that, well, first of all, I'll say my sophomore year, I went through a pretty hard time just personally because of personal reasons that I will not get into. But it was pretty difficult for me to balance the whole homework load with social life. And honestly, it was just a pretty difficult time overall. Like, not the whole year, but probably the second half of the year was probably the worst. But what I was going to say was when I was going through that hard time, I didn't necessarily like give teachers like all like the details of what was going on because I just didn't feel like talking about it in a public way, or even in just that one-on-one connection. But I did have the teachers that would say, "Oh, you know, you didn't get sleep last night," because that's what like my either excuse would be, or you know, that's what I would tell them, and they would say, you know, do the homework, you know, turn it in like the next day, or you know, by the end of the week, something like that. A lot of the times there are going to be those teachers that are unreasonable, but I have had those teachers that are very reasonable. And then, like you guys were all saying, I do think obviously the homework loads are going to be unbalanced between classes. A class like photography might not be something that you do at home. It will be something that you do at school, and then you might never get homework. As opposed to math, where there's always going to be the homework, and then you know you might not get the help that you need all the time. So I think it's very important that you know you try to trust your teacher. But I obviously know, because I've had them, that there are those teachers that just either you can't cooperate with, or maybe they have something going on in their life. You know, maybe, I don't know. If you give your teacher a hard time, you know, do your best not to. But if they're really a pain in the ass, then you know you can shit on them with your friends, not necessarily to their face. But I'm going to say somewhat agree to homework loads are fair. So then my next one has to do with teachers, actually. Kind of ironic, but so this one, yeah, it's about teachers, but it's not necessarily what teachers do in the classroom all the time. This one has to do with their actual like job, and I guess kind of like how long they've been at their profession. For those that don't know, the tenure is a thing that once this teacher has been a part of the school district for a certain number of years, then they get kind of like, not necessarily like protected, I guess, but maybe like shielded from some of the things that the newer teachers would have to go through. If one teacher isn't working out in like the early few months, then you know you send them on their way, no problem. Pretty much a quick firing. The statement for this one is the tenure should protect all teachers from getting fired.
I might have to say, like, disagree, because, like, if the teacher, like, it doesn't, hold on, let me slow down. I would say, it depends on, like, the reason on, like, why we should fire them, because, like, I feel like if they really do something bad, or, like, really is, like, it isn't working out in the classroom, or, like, kids are kind of, like, failing, then I don't think they should be protected from the tenure, because, like, they might need someone fresh, or like, you know, someone new, or like someone probably better than the teacher that's been there. But I mean, if it has been working for the 10 years, then I guess they can be protected by it. But if there really is a reason they should be, like a valid reason they should like be fired, I think the tenure shouldn't be like something they could be protected by. So I'm gonna say disagree.
Yeah, I'd have to go like Maggie said. It has to be like a valid reason in order for them to like be protected. Because like if it's not a valid reason, then there's no reason why they should be. You know, if you have a really bad teacher that like really sucks and doesn't know what they're doing, or like I don't know, like they're really just their character as a teacher is really bad. It's bad for the classroom. Then that they should not be protected. But apart from that, I think they should. So I think I would disagree.
I have a bit of a story to tell for my answer. So I had this just god awful teacher. Like everybody knew that she was terrible. My sophomore year, and I'm not gonna say like what subject or like who the person was or anything, but I'm just gonna say she was bad, and she never really taught the class like the way that a regular teacher would. She would kind of just like come in, sit down, and then let us get to work, because she would. The excuse for not teaching would say, the excuse for her not teaching, she would say, oh, you guys need to, bounce off your, table partners or something, or like, learn from your classmates. It's important to do group work and stuff. It's like, well, we can't do that if you don't teach us anything. But what I was gonna say next was, so the students went to the office. I don't know if it was from my class, but from some class, and complained. And I think parents sent emails, I think, to the office as well, complaining that the teacher wasn't giving her students the right education. And so what they did was that they sent kind of like a representative, I guess, from the office or from the district or whatever, into her class for a few periods. And they had her sit down and, just kind of watched what would happen in a class. Well, the teacher pretty much, I think, knew that this was going to happen, because you can't just have somebody walk in with no explanation. So she taught that day, and everybody was pissed off because it looked like just like, a false statement, but it wasn't. And all the kids were mad. It felt like, we weren't really being taken seriously, and that, so many people had complained and just nothing had happened. I know that that teacher specifically, I think, had been going through some personal stuff in her life. But if she's doing that, or if she has stuff that's going on, at some point she has to understand that, everybody, first of all, goes through personal stuff. It's not just her. And second of all, if it is really that bad to the point where you cannot teach a class and do your job, take a break. Send in a I guess a temporary sub, and have your class be run by a substitute. So in some ways I felt bad, but in others, a lot of people failed that class. So I would say what was my answer? I guess I would disagree that the tenure should protect. But again, there has to be the reasoning.
It's funny. I'm not going to say her name, but I'm pretty confident I know exactly who you're talking about. But I am also going to have to disagree. I don't know. Something about the statement that the tenure should protect all teachers. Like, the first thing that comes to my mind when you say that is probably thinking of a scenario where, like, you wouldn't want the tenure to protect someone. And yeah, that was a pretty good example of the one you gave, just because I experienced it. That same teacher. But yeah, I feel like after, like, a lot can change, like, in students in like a decade. Like, I'm sure we don't act like students in 2010, like, and we probably weren't doing the same things or talking about the same stuff. Like, obviously generations are going to change, and like, I don't know, I feel like if a teacher is still stuck, like, doing, I guess, the same way of teaching, like, if the students are going to change, like, in their own way, I feel like the teacher should have to either develop or the teacher should change. Like, you can't be teaching the same thing to different students, like, from 1 year to like 10 years later. Like, they're obviously probably not going to learn the same way. And yeah, I just feel like as the students change, the teachers should as well. So I don't have to disagree with that.
And then our next one, it's a very more, I guess, positive, kind of maybe uplifting. It might be uplifting for some people. I myself am involved with a few different clubs that range anywhere from obviously the Ultimate Frisbee Club to more, I guess, academic side of clubs. And I've always enjoyed being a part of clubs. I know you guys have as well. So this one's pretty simple. A lot of students, I feel like, at first, maybe in their first few years of high school, are a little bit reluctant to join clubs in general. Not necessarily like a team one where there's like a lot of communication and social stuff, but just kind of a general, like, they kind of like back away, I guess. So this one, the statement for this one is: students should be encouraged to join more clubs. or I guess just to join clubs?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're already pretty encouraged with like I think it's club day like that we have at Castro Valley. Like a lot of different clubs that try to get a lot of different students, and there's I wouldn't say there's a club for pretty much everything, but there's clubs for a lot of different things, and like none of them really seem to like pique my interest. But like I feel like I'm gonna have to agree because like there's a lot of different things that you could experience, a lot of different people you could meet. You might want to try something new and enjoy it, kind of like we were talking about with the taking a VAPA and a CTE. Like, at that point, like I think I agree with it because it's not required, but like you could actually enjoy yourself doing something that you want to do, but you also have the option not to do it. So yeah, I think I kind of regret like not doing a lot of clubs, and maybe Will with inviting me out to Club Ultimate. I feel like it might have been fun, like for a couple Fridays at least, like getting to go on the field and throw frisbee and all that. But yeah, I think I definitely feel like students, especially freshmen, because like you're a lot of the freshmen, might think it's like not cool to join a club or like they try too hard to fit in. But high school is where you're probably going to get like a lot of experience in your life behind like college. But yeah, I feel like students should definitely join clubs, and I regret not really taking that many.
I would say, yeah, I probably agree too. Like, but at first I was neutral, and then like Andrew was speaking, and then I kind of like, okay, yeah, they kind of do need to kind of push him more. But at like right now, I feel like clubs are totally fine. I think the only problem is that there could be more different types of clubs. Like the way that they're doing it right now is totally fine because like it's not really like what Andrew said. Like it's not really forcing a person to do that or like required for a person to pick a club. But like if it piques their interest, then they're gonna join it. So that's like it's kind of like how can I say it caters to everyone basically because it can like pique someone's interest or like start like a hobby or something like that. And yeah, and then we have like club day where like and it's basically announced to the whole school that in the middle of our school that there's going to be clubs you can join and sign up for. So I feel like we're doing a pretty good job in terms of clubs. It's just like maybe we can have a few more clubs and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to agree.
Yeah, I agree too because I mean clubs are. I mean, okay, it's not forced, and you can do it if you want to. And then there are a lot of clubs that can, like, based on your interests in whatever you want to do in life, you can join clubs and like meet new people and get like work experience if you can. Um, Overall, clubs are a great way to meet new people, and I think it should be encouraged. Like you guys said, there is club day, and there could be new clubs, and I think people should be encouraged to start clubs too that pique your interest. So yeah.
I'm gonna not fully agree on this, but I'm gonna somewhat agree on this. I think a lot of times students are pressured to join certain clubs because of their academic ability. Like I think CSF is an example because it literally like requires a grade minimum in order for you to be an active member within the club. But in terms of other ones, I like the guys were saying, there is a club day at the school that we attend, and it's a very, I guess, open way to kind of share what their club's about. Like for me, for example, I'm an officer currently for Club Ultimate, and we always make a poster board and display it out. And it's pretty much the same thing for other clubs as well. It's the time to kind of highlight what your club does. Like I was saying earlier, the pressure I think is I think mounts at a certain point in time because of people's maybe just because of people's friends, to be honest. I have a few friends that are not involved in any clubs, and they don't like really care but I feel like they have a certain like want to, but then it's also like their friends are already involved in so much, so they feel like they can't really like match like the level that they're at already. If that makes any sense. I think overall what I'm trying to say is, you guys should, definitely be encouraged to join more clubs, but never feel pressured and never feel like, you have to do something just because other people are doing it and because, they might put it down on their resume someday for something that they did in the past. So I'm going to somewhat agree. So my next one is a bit similar to this last one, except it doesn't really have to do with all the time in school. Obviously, clubs in school are stuff that you do either at school or you take a field trip somewhere with the club, and you go do whatever, but you do it as the club from the school. So this one isn't necessarily school related. It's more just for high school students in general. So this one is, there are enough leadership opportunities for high school students.
I would say our school does have a lot of leadership opportunities in terms of like a lot, like in terms of everything. Like even in the classroom, there can be like some type of leadership opportunities, like leading a group table or something, or like in a club being the president of the club, or in the sports being the team captain. And like I feel like our school has a lot of leadership opportunities, so I'd say I would agree.
I feel like, I mean, obviously you're not going to see everybody become a leader. Not everyone's a natural leader. I feel like the opportunity definitely presents itself. Like with Miggy, what he was talking about with, maybe even like the small things, like leading a group table or like a class discussion, or like, what are those things called? The thing, where like all our minutes are in a circle.
Fishbowl.
Fishbowl.
Yeah. Socratic.
Like Socratic seminar. Yeah, like even with clubs and, there's a lot of different opportunities. I think it's just like not a lot of people are going to take those opportunities because they're scared and like they're, scared of the reaction of what people might think of them if they do like attempt. And yeah, I definitely think the opportunities are sufficient. I think it's just up to the people who like actually go for them, like those kind of opportunities. So yeah, I'll strongly agree with them.
Yeah, I would have to agree too. Like both Megan and Andrew said, there are a lot of opportunities for that, and like the small things also matter. And at the end of the day, it's just if the person wants to do it, will they do it? So I'd have to strongly agree too.
To be honest, I'm gonna stay neutral. I know that there's so many opportunities, and I guess just kind of jobs that might be like interesting to a high school student that they will get the opportunity to do, but might not just take it. The reason I'm saying neutral is because they might not necessarily be for that person's interest. I know that there's a lot of like more of like the quiet, I guess, engineer type of people that have to be leaders someday, like when they might educate somebody on like what their field of profession is, and maybe at like a social gathering, just like have to talk in front of people, and if they're talking about what they do in their work, they're gonna have to talk with either one person or a group. But I think if there were more leadership opportunities that were, I guess, not necessarily like handed to you, but that were of more interest to some people, then I think it'd be a lot easier for some individuals to join and try something new. This next statement is, I guess, sort of this is a school topic, I think, but it's not necessarily a thing that I feel like only students can answer. I feel like parents have a say in how this could potentially play out as well, and then of course the district and then the teachers do as well. But I don't know how many of these actual classes exist, but I know that there should be that they do, and but I feel like it's just not as broad as it could be. So this statement is there should be more real world classes in high school. So basically what this means is in the real world there are things that you obviously can't learn in school, that are very hard to teach because those are just life experiences. But there are things that you can teach that you have to learn in the real world, such as how to deal with financial aid, how to just manage your money. Driving is something that you have to do separate from school. And in school right now, in a PE unit, you could have the bike unit and learn how to ride a bike, even though you do that probably at a very young age. There's a few more, but those are kind of the ones just off the top of my head. So yeah, again, the statement is there should be more real world classes in school.
I would say agree, because it never hurts to have, more things to learn for a student. It gives a student a variety of choices. That's always a good thing. And it also gives them the opportunity to really actually take a class that they will really benefit from in the future. And I feel like that's really important, because I feel like I'm one of those people that don't know a lot of things that adults do that I need to learn soon. And I feel like having some of those classes in high school would really help a lot. But the only problem that I see with that is that it might get in the way of the other classes that we're supposed to take. So that's another issue. And also maybe me right now, maybe I just don't want to learn it right now, but I'm gonna need to eventually. So it all depends on the student. But I feel like it would be really good though to have classes like that. So I'm gonna say agree.
I'm also gonna have to agree. I think schools. I mean, we're only gonna go to one school in high school, obviously. So we're never gonna get to experience the high schools around the country. I mean, except me, I'll be going to different high schools. But I feel our school in general tries to help us with some of the real world, some real world scenarios you might encounter. I think this past year for the sophomores they had to do swimming. I think I remember my sister talking about that. But it was that, and with Will mentioning biking and PE, and I'm very confident there were schools that actually taught the students about driving. I want to say I think I remember my dad telling me something about how he was able to get his driving permit from a class that he took in school, which is actually, I don't know why they got rid of it. That is an extremely useful thing. But I feel yeah, I think our school generalizes some of the bigger careers that students might want to take. Obviously there's classes if you want to be, I don't know, a doctor. There's med careers, and what anatomy. I almost butchered that so bad. Anatomy and physiology, and a bunch of other different sciences AP Comp Sci, or I can't think of different classes off the top of my head. I don't want to, but I think they generalize a lot, which I mean you're obviously not going to get every career possible in classes that you can take in high school. That's probably what they have college for, with picking a major and a minor, whatever. There's a lot of different options to choose when you get there. So yeah, I don't think it would hurt to introduce more classes that might be of interest to different students, because they're not all going to want to be computer scientists and doctors and stuff like that.
I'd have to agree too, because I don't know. I mean, there's some skills that we will need later on in life. I mean, for example, like taxes. Like, I'll go into the real world after you pay taxes. I don't know how to do that. I mean, in high school you can take like stats and stuff, but it doesn't really help you with like taxes, you know. So I think you kind of need to. Then again, yeah, you kind of need to. So I have to agree.
I'm gonna say that I strongly agree, but there are also things that I think are not not beneficial, but that well, here I'll just explain them. Like Miggy was saying, there are obviously going to be those more important classes that like you have to focus on more and put more of your attention to, because those are the classes that you need to graduate in order to you know, get through high school. But then again, there are a lot of like for a lot of us and my friends and our friends in senior year, there are a lot of people that are, you know, not taking an extra period, and they're skipping either first period or sixth period, you know, depending on how, you know, maybe if they're like a morning person, then they want to, you know, have the rest of the afternoon off, so they take a sixth period off, or vice versa. If they're a night person, they don't want a first period, so they take a class off. There's a bug in my room. But I think if people did want to fill in those classes, there are a lot of real world things that could be very important to learn in an academic way, and in a way that, you know, is not necessarily required, but because you know that you have that class, you know, you don't have to worry about it like later on in life. Like, oh gosh, I have a money problem. Like, what the hell am I going to do now? You don't need to go like to somebody else for help, because you've already learned it at a very young age, and it may have stayed with you throughout that period of time, you know, depending on wherever the person is in their life. So I strongly agree, but there, of course, are the things that you have to navigate around it. I have one more for you guys, and I feel like this one, I don't know about this one. It's an interesting one, but there's obviously, I think, different ways to go about it and how to answer it. For a lot of these other statements, it's pretty much the same thing. But this one has to do with more of finding out, like, you know, what you want to do as a career. So as high schoolers, we're going to answer this kind of, I guess, for not necessarily for our future, but we know that this is something in the future is going to happen in terms of us just growing up and learning. So this statement is, there is a place for everybody in college.
I'm gonna have to say slightly disagree, because honestly, the working field is really like it's real. Like it's real. Like it's not gonna be like, you know, it depends on like the career you're trying to get, but like you do have to put a lot of work in. And I don't think it like just because you go to college there's gonna be a place for you, you know, like a place for you just to keep it like real. But you're gonna have to be willing to work for it, and you're gonna have to, you know, be educated on the subject or the job you want to really go to. And like I don't like there could be a place for everyone, but I feel like there are a lot of people that don't have a place in college. Like some of them don't know what they want to do for their future, or like they think like, or it's too hard for them, or you know, or they just like, you know, they're doing fine. It's just like they just don't have a place, like, you know. So I'm gonna say slightly disagree, because I don't think everybody has a place, but they could. It's just like, you know, depends on their situation and who they are as a person.
There's not going to be like something that everyone in college is going to want to do for the rest of their lives. Like, there's way too many different jobs out there for people to pick from. Like, I don't know. And like, if college, if it was really like that, like with what your statement implies, with how, you know, there's a place for everyone in college, like Miggy said, like there would be no like college dropouts. Like everyone would know like what to do. But, you know, reality is like they don't. Like no one knows what's going to happen like in their future. And like they, by all means, they have complete control over their own future. It's just, there's not going to be a place. Like I'm still trying to figure out what like a place could possibly be, but I'm just going to stick with the fact that not everyone who goes to college is going to have the same experience. Not everyone in college is going to obviously enjoy it. And, they might come with different knowledge than like maybe what they were hoping for. Or just no knowledge at all. Like I think it just depends on like the person. Like you can't just go to college and expect to succeed. Like, like Miggy said, how, when you step out into the working environment, like you're really going to have to put an effort in or else, life's going to, like kick you down and like beat you up. But yeah, I think it just really depends on the person. So I'm going to have to say somewhat disagree.
I'd have to disagree too, because I mean, when you go to college, I mean, you might have like this interest in like high school or like when you were younger or whatever, but when you get into college, it just gets really intense, and you probably wouldn't like it like the way you thought you would. And like Mickey said, so when you go into the working field, it gets intense, and you probably might find other things you like while in college that is outside of college. So yeah, so I'd have to disagree.
Initially, I was going to say that I actually somewhat agree, but I think that there's thinking about it more. I feel like there's so many examples of people not going to college but still being successful, or just being happy with their profession. I think people that rise to fame without college or maybe even without high school, they're obviously at a good spot, probably financially. And then those that join the military or some field in like the Army, Navy, so on, they find that's either what they want to do or that's something that their family has done for generations, and they kind of fall in line, or they kind of they want to serve their country. But I feel like for the people that that do go to college, I think that they, for the most part, when they have like an idea of what they want to do, they'll usually be able to find their way. So I'm going to be neutral on this subject because I feel like there's just so much competitiveness in the real world, and that college isn't always the answer. But I feel like if a person that didn't go to college were to be put in a college, then because obviously it starts with choosing your school and the type of person that you are, the type of people that you find. If they were to do all those things correctly, or not correctly, but just like in a good way for them, then I think that they'd be able to be successful in the real world. And then just to elaborate more, obviously some people don't have the opportunity to go to college all the time. So I feel like there's a lot of, I guess, other options that could be exploited in terms of, trying to figure out like what you want to do for your profession, and then getting an occupation later in life, because it is unfortunate. But yeah, some people don't have the opportunity to go to college, even though they do want to go to college. And but I would just for those people, I would just say, if you had the opportunity, obviously, of course, you'd go. But you can obviously still be successful either way. You just gotta meet the right people, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm neutral for the most part overall.
I was just about to say, don't get me wrong, like college is definitely like a place where you could get a lot of experience and opportunity. learn a lot of different things, right? But I don't really need to speak from experience to say that a college degree like won't give you sustainable or like sustainable happiness. Like at the end of the day, like it's a piece of paper that might help you get a job. Like, you know, it's just another step in life. Like you're not really going to be able to sustain like a healthy lifestyle just because you got a diploma. And yeah, I think like instead of looking at it as a play, like if you go here, like you'll succeed. Like just look at it as like like another step in your life, like to wanting to succeed. But you still have to put the work in, like if you really do want to succeed in life. But yeah, I just thought I'd say that before we end it.
You know, hopefully this is able to give others an insight into how a student might think about certain topics that have to do with them academically and that have to do with, I guess, their future, whether it be academically in college or, you know, academically somewhere else for them. So yeah, I would just like to once again thank you guys for being here. Hopefully this was, you know, something that I guess helped you guys, and that maybe could help other people, you know, rethink some things and, you know, think deeper about some of these topics. Bye.
Peace out.